this lot. But look, this is...
The Labour government.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it down there. No, it just feels entirely different. This is such an enormously poignant, sad, we're trying to be cheerful kind of day. I mean, I seem to have said a lot about things being an end of an era in the last year or so, but I have this profound sense of an end of an era for me personally, and for all of you, all of us in this constituency. And Joyce and Bob have just been a central part of the life of the Labour Party, the Labour movement, but also of the community for these years. I mean, personally, as Joyce always reminds me, I would never have become the Member of Parliament for this area, or Labour candidate than the Member of Parliament for this area, but for Joyce, who, this is not one of the things that you just say because it's nice to say, it is true. She was secretary of the, as we had then, the local Fabian Society,
yeah,
back at the end of the 1980s. And when I sent my particulars in, when you were looking for a candidate, Joyce got hold of them, invited me to come, secured the nomination for me, and everything flowed from that. And so I've always had that particular sense of gratitude to Joyce, because she changed my life. And then, of course, there was Bob. Bob, who was the constituency secretary and became then my agent. And although, and as Ian said, I mean, first thing I discovered was, or early on, that Bob had done intelligence work, propaganda work, during the Second World War. So I thought, I'm in good hands here in planning a campaign. And although we had some wonderful victories later on, as Bob has heard me say before, because it's true, there was nothing to match that first victory we had in the old Cannock and Burtonwood constituency in 1992. It was an extraordinary campaign, the excitement of it, because we knew that we had to win. As I sometimes say to Bob, it may have not been the most sophisticated campaign ever run in the history of campaigning, but it was the most committed, and we had such tremendous fun along the way. And even now I remember Bob poring over those little bundles of votes to see whether we actually had won that night. And we had only just, though. But they were the happiest days for me, and they were the beginning of a really happy period, I think, for this constituency. And so personally I can't thank them enough, but the most remarkable thing in a way about them both is that despite, as Ian has said, their huge record of service, they never sought anything for themselves, which is, the best attribute of all. We talk about people being servants of the community and servants of our party and servants of the movement and all that, but they genuinely were. That's what they saw their job as. So they never wanted to go off and find office for themselves. Sometimes they did have office, but they never sought it. Always there, taking on the jobs, always sitting then in the latter days in the front row of the GMC, sometimes being stroppy, dare I say. never simply just taking the line that either I gave them or anybody else gave them, constantly challenging, constantly questioning, sometimes being difficult, but always for the very right reasons. And the contribution that they've made is really beyond measure over these years. And as I say, at the end of an era, it seems scarcely possible that this should be happening. But it's a reflection also, though, of their personality and determination, that when a decision has to be made about what they should do, having reached a certain point in life, they make it, and they set about doing it probably in a way that most of us would not feel able to do. And that's a measure of the people too. It's my huge pleasure to say thank you on behalf of Heath and on behalf of the whole constituency party for everything that you've done over these years. It's not going to be a final farewell because you're going into good hands down there. Continuations will carry on happening. I was looking through some photographs this morning and found a lot of you, both. But I pulled one out. It's only an ancient black and white photograph, but I'm just going to give it to you, and I hope you may like to see it. I can tell from the date and what I'm doing, and I just about remember the occasion. We're sitting in the constituency office, and you can't see the cake, but I'm cutting a cake, and I'm pretty sure we were celebrating. Do you remember this? We were celebrating the first year of having won the election in 1992. Well, yeah, you see, no, there's a very young woman. In fact, there were a lot of elderly young people, including this chap cutting the cake here. But what is so lovely is that, I will pass it around, you see, there's Bob in the corner. What a head of hair! What a head of hair he's still got! I mean, I wish I had that secret. And then there's Joyce in the middle, look, as in that characteristic Joyce pose, cup of tea in hand. And that, I mean, just seeing that took me right back to that extraordinarily happy and exciting period. And I know it was for you too. So it's just that you stick that up somewhere in your new house. I've got a couple of trivial things for you. One thing it does in Wales, I have to tell you this. Quite a lot. In fact, almost all the time, it rains. So, just so that you can remember, sunny Heath haze, okay? That's just a little silly thing for you. And another little silly thing, this is just chocolate. From me, nothing of any.
Oh, that's very nice,
and the
thank
card
you.
From us. But my main duty and pleasure is to say, on behalf of all of you who've wanted to contribute to this farewell present for Joyce and Bob, this reflects people's feelings about all that you've done for this constituency over these vast number of years, and to say thank you very much, and to say enjoy the next stage as well. So we've got that, and we've got for Joyce, I don't know why I say for Joyce and not for Bob as well, but we've got those.
Thank you.
We have a card signed, I think, by almost everybody, perhaps everybody, to go with it.
We just have a